ETF2L, Turbo Tabs, Anticide, Witness, Tomato, Samus. These are the essential words I'm sorting out here, because you're here on essentials.tf. We're doing some more Team Fortress 2 content, and is the continuation of the ETF2L season. It's season 49. My God, we are in the Middle Ages, as we're in the middle of our season. Week 4, Anticide versus Witness Gaming. Two of the top teams that are expected to be in the playoff section. Tomato, what do you think about our match tonight? Are you excited?
I will spare the joke potential here on middle-aged, so I will just quickly glance over it and say that since you gave us the keywords, I will add the syncretism for that, since a specter is haunting Europe. The specter of competition. Since it is quite competitive here, you already laid the groundwork and the foundation. We're starting out on Product, and obviously I'm excited because I love Product as a map. I know it's a bit of a conflicted map, bit polarized. Some intellectuals might even add into that, but the storyline here is Witness Gaming banned Bagel. They don't like bagels. Anticide banned Granary. They don't like grain. And then Anticide picked Product. We are hit onto Product here, and then afterwards Witness Gaming picked Metalworks into double time. Witness Gaming in week 1, 2-4 loss versus 4 fans. I mean, honestly, Turbo, you said to me we're in the mid-season, so yes, there are some storylines now to make our judgment of. And Witness Gaming in week 2, 6-0 win versus Venom Crest, 5-1 win versus Mandem in week 3. So 2 wins, 1 loss against probably the top dog here. 4 fans, that is, the champion from the past season. And Anticide on the other side. On week 1, they had a 6-0 win versus Venom Crest, 1-5 loss versus Mandem in week 2, and week 3 was a 6-0 win versus Garda Panteri for them, which was a complete slaughterhouse, honestly, 5-1 and 5-0. But that is the boring storyline of the numbers. I'm obviously championing a little bit here for Witness Gaming, but, you know, I talked a lot, but you only asked me one question. I'm excited.
Excellent, excellent. It's a very full answer, but yeah, I think you're touching, the realms of why all the context needs to be laid out here. Basically, everyone's been taking points off of everybody here in this ETF2L season, and the players, they're not too surprised. I'm pretty sure they've been said plenty on the record that this is the closest season they've played against each other. They themselves say that any team, yes, any team, even Samakot, could go around and start taking points off anybody at these sort of strange points in the season. And it's a very tight playoff section. Any of these teams, again, look comfortable in a playoff, and there's only going to be 4 slots, and 2 of these teams are expected to be in it. So this surely is an important match tonight, right?
It truly is. And to add to that, why it is so important, they have shown their true colors here. Witness Gaming are featuring Ixi on Scout, Thomas on Scout as well, then Hughes stepping in, Puppy, Lucas Tank on the Demo Man class, and Otto on Medic. As on Anticide, we have Pandemic, Manix, Blank, Ryan, UG, and Theos. So just very quickly going down the rosters here, they know what is on the line for them, but you already touched a bit upon it. If you lose those single points in sort of unfortunate departments, then it might bite you in the back, and everyone wants to be in the playoff spot here. The last time I looked, Witness Gaming was in the 3rd place, and Anticide was on the 2nd place, with the top spot being featured there by 4 fans. So, I mean, if you look at it from the storyline so far, yeah, they're in the playoffs, but still something can shake up. They are like decently enough weeks to still be played and still gain points or lose points.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we saw it last season where 4 fans were only just managed to get into the playoff, and they went on to actually win the season. So, and that was only from the nice Venom Crest guys kind of turning up to their match and, nice and primed and drunk and just enjoying themselves. If that match didn't go the way it did, they might not have got into that playoff season and won that season. So thus, you'd think it would happen potentially again this season if things come down to the wire and things are as close as they say they are. And to keep it close, Anticide have picked a very muddy condition for them to fight this Witness top dog in, and that is Product. Product is always known as being like fighting down in the mud, getting everybody involved. There is no compartmentizing of all these teams and players playing against one another. It's about just 6 people just bashing into 6 people, and they think this is their best shot. And historically, Product has always been that shot for these lower teams to play the top dogs.
it is truly a very tight-knitted map in that sense that there is a fast rotation, but also deathmatch is really shining through, and it is the epitome, especially if you look at the viaduct above, which sort of gave this map its name, as the countdown is going to tick down. And right there, good evening again, computerized crowd, as everyone has to look onto their home monitors. Indeed, the blue team is Witness Gaming, the red team is ANTICIDE. The first mid-fight will decide probably the further flow of this game. Welcome to the Battle of Verdun here. A lot of players probably shooting everyone else weak. No, never mind, a bit timidly really watching their flanks right now.
Yeah, the only one that really is having to step forward is Ryan, and look, he's been punished for it with the most aggressive foot forward. He will be the first one to falter, and that's enough for the green light for the blue team of Witness Gaming to start going ahead. And my god, they've actually followed up with enough damage. A nice little collapse as well. Ixie's already flanking all the way around.
Oh no!
Wants to cut Theos here at the neck of the door, but everybody's managed to come back from the world of the dead to manage to block that aggressive side onto their medic Theos.
I'm doing so many wordplays with Theos in the past with a sort of, you know, god, but that was god dodging, that was also him praying to some god, and in all of that they limited only Witness Gaming to 23 seconds on that point, and everybody was so set well on that forward ground for fence compartment. Ixie is dealt with. Now Peppy bombs Yugi. Yugi able to surf out. They're all in the world, or in the sky rather, those clowns, the flying carnival there. Otto catching a pipe.
Yeah, not quite following up though. They're just trying to pressure Tomas. Tomas getting the brunt of all of this healing from Auto, but he ends up getting dropped by Auto. So now they have to deal with Plan B. That's Ixie, but they've managed to respond with their own Uber in kind, and the Ubers have more impact as well. They managed to find Pappy on that backline. So not only have they kind of nullified that Uber from Witness, but they've managed to hold on to that point too.
However, Witness Gaming still have so much cap time to play for here, and the Ubers are equaled out, but that wonderful passage of play stipulated this to work out in the favor of ANTICIDE, as they were able to clean Thomas out of this picture, and Peppy is bombing in behind, being a big distraction, big mirage, one rocket onto Theos, sort of forced him passive, but in all of that managed to keep the point. It only means lower spawns. Otto is in such a peril here, and the hazardous blank is cleaning that medic out of the picture. Lucas 1v1 against Yuji.
Oh, and he might get caught out here. He isn't caught in no man's land, can't really exit, will go down. That's 10 seconds later compared to the rest of his team coming up. And sure, they capped the point, but they capped the point just quickly back over on ANTICIDE. So during all this push out again, they are sitting pretty on the clock.
And alongside it, they also elongated their own respawn queue, as Yugi is bombing Otto. Not a single digit of damage going onto that medic. Not very Lucullian. It is looking, but Manix jungled in the sky. Otto was dealt with. That was the earliest frag. What the frick? They managed to gain for themselves. Otto, however, walking down so very aggressive, was available for the grabs. And a lot of players were traded out. However, 1 minute already in the advantage of ANTICIDE.
Yep, Ixie is going to claim the point as it's kind of been gifted towards him, and yeah, they just kind of cashed in an Uber just for a bit more time there over on ANTICIDE. Sure, they found Auto as well, but they were primed for the collapse. They know that medics aren't really quite as important in the game of post-game Ubers over on Witness, and yeah, they allowed them to kind of tie up the situation of the video game. So now we're back into it. They've got a bit more trades over on ANTICIDE, but this is good. Trading is good when you haven't got the point, because that respawn time is just that little bit nicer to you.
It was wonderfully played though still. I mean, they lost 2 players here on the face of Witness Gaming, but Peppy alongside with Lucas, they were able to poach the enemy team so potently in that pocket area, and Theos was sort of shot down to low HP, which mediated the fact that they have slower respawns here onto WG, and they're still fighting them off on the forward fray. Theos only catching up now. This Uber push is impending.
Yep, they held on for a long time there to hoping that maybe they'll use their Uber a bit more effectively. They pop it off now, but I don't really see obviously anything played off with that Uber. And even on the kind of strategic side, why would they want to wait on Uber? They had 2 picks during all of that stalemating. The respawns were on their side, but they chose not to use it.
And that's a wonderful 3K. Otto popped it in a sort of a predominant and proactive situation. There were 3 players sort of even trapped in behind Ryan alongside with Blank and Manix that were, and that sort of managed to give them some parity here, parity in the time stakes, but parity in deathmatch is not so far on the field since this forward hold was able to halt this aggression from ANTICIDE, as already clocking down a little bit more on the timer here for the side of Witness Gaming.
Oh, Hugo gets the pick onto Theos. That's no heals for the side of ANTICIDE. They can strike back quickly, but every time some time just ticks away at the clock here, so does their health. Nothing to heal these poor scouts back up, and they have to run with their tails in between their legs back to the medic who's just respawned now.
It is able to sustain their lead even further. I mean, it was very equal early on, but now ANTICIDE have to grovel back into their time advantage, or even in the time parity, as I have been iterating previously. Repeating that same Dia show here. Pandemic is shot low, and also Thomas chases alongside with the Lucas tank and Otto, the Troika of Doom for the enemy team. Not so many weak, or rather healthy players, not sanguine enough to continue fighting. This very round goes the way of Witness Gaming, and I touched upon it early. First 90 seconds for both of those teams, very equal, but then way better conversion rate onto those Ubers. Otto holding onto it, letting the enemy team's Uber happen, cleaning 3 players up in the behind area, going forward, and that managed to elongate and, you know, just longen their advantage on the timer.
Yeah, you're just seeing just a difference of philosophies of what to be done with these Ubers. ANTICIDE want to use the Uber to take out Auto, but Auto wants to use his Uber to kind of take out players, take out the guys with guns over on ANTICIDE. And sure, they have a medic left over, but what's a medic without his patient?
Well, impatient, I'd say, or well, without patience. Encompassing this fight here is Ryan jumping from this little concrete area, landing on the shed, but Theos is dealt with another rocket. Wonderful rockets here in the sky. The Battle of the Dawn, I will iterate. The artillery is full in swing, is further on repeating. Blank only a little bit in the front fray and wanted to get some juicy rockets onto Otto. Otto not really protected for like 1 second there, but eventually able to come out on top.
The scout class is formidable by the fact that it doesn't really need to spend any resources running around going on the defensive while the soldiers do. So they expend the soldiers on Witness for a medic kill against Theos, and they were more than confident, even though there were 3 players down, to deal with the aggressive players left over on ANTICIDE.
Honestly, I feel like ANTICIDE need to collect a little bit of their sanguinity and trust into a battering ram to better their own game. Like Yuji is always being buffed, but doesn't really have so much space. Now the space might come in. There was a soldier in behind, managed to force Otto. My eyes were a little bit more drawn to that Yuji and Theos play, but eventually 3 players I think snuck in behind.
This is not so bad. So they get the Uber out of Auto, and any team that wants to make a comeback on the product kind of needs to get these Uber charges back in check here. So they can't have this advantage looming over them. So they force it out now. They have an Uber charge, but they might have to use it at the gate here, which Witness are kind of counting on. But if they can sneak past this gate without using the... Okay, nope, we're just using the Uber straight away, trying to get on top of Auto. Auto taking the scout taxi out, all the way out, even manages to keep his taxi alive, and Ixie will go down, causing some shenanigans in the background, but they try to enter back into the fight with a counterattack on Witness, but that counterattack has actually fed them. Now you could just call this a good Uber over on the side of ANTICIDE.
Indeed, I mean, Witness Gaming sort of, I mean, I was lauding them before, but now idiosyncratic play, not really playing to their advantages, were able to wonderfully kite that enemy team's Uber with... They Ubered without even looking what was really close on the side of ANTICIDE, but then suiciding 3 players in from Witness Gaming, that is what you initially even want with this entire Uber, so the apparition was a bit thwarted and the midden heaps were mostly what was dictating the flow of this fight. However, Witness Gaming still in the advantage here.
Menix kind of caught in the tractor beam of Thomas and Ixie there, as he tries to glide across and get to the heels, but doesn't quite work out. And just because of that little tiny weakness there, they've lost the point because of it. So, and they've got the Uber charge as well to kind of keep a nice sturdy backbone over on Witness Gaming. And yeah, what I'm seeing from ANTICIDE so far is like they have these opportunities where the players are down over on Witness Gaming, but they're not taking them. They would rather just play it safe. And you know, there's not many times where playing it safe against the top teams going to work out in TF2.
WG is also very strong on the boa constrictor moves here, and Auto able to milk it for such a prolonged period of time. It is Lucas Tank alongside with Thomas. Again, the Troika and Doom full in swing. Theos dealt with another player dominated by Lucas Tank. Blank, that is. Blank space is left where he was previously positioned. Pandemic eradicated, and now Manix ripped off the side as well. They were able to clean off Auto in all of that. That is the end result that they have so dearly fought for. However, I wanted to say, such a strong play, honestly, by Witness Gaming. You see this insane discrepancy in the timer. And the pause, by the way.
It's not even looking like complex TF2. It looks like a lot of Ubers are just a little bit misplaced from ANTICIDE. They wanted to get aggressive with the Uber there and maybe force out Auto and then try and hope that the post fight was much stronger for them. But the Uber was popped so much later from Auto, and clearly they had a target in mind, which was just Theos. And that was obviously once they got Theos out of the picture and they knew that, you know, bottom line, whatever happens, the Uber charges were going to be fine, and then they could like reset from there. But even the post fight didn't go the way of ANTICIDE.
I mean, honestly, Witness Gaming is playing the fundamentals right here. They are recognizing what their strengths are. Yes, they are chasing and racing in sort of a deathmatch advantage early on, and then especially on the times. But honestly, on the contrary, ANTICIDE are allowing this. When we talked about this Uber pop that was a little bit idiosyncratic early enough from Witness Gaming, where they were not really able to chase players, but then it was made wonderful by the fact that 3 players just feed themselves in, and this is what you want to initially get with an Uber. Honestly, we can only judge because I'm not hearing Mumblecom, so I don't really know, but it seems that they don't really know what their main attack route is supposed to be here on ANTICIDE. Don't know how you monitored it.
I know exactly what their attack plan should be. I think they should just be playing these sort of slow fights more. We've seen it in the middle. You start off with these sort of slow fights, just seeing who has the initial sign of weakness. Yeah, the second mid, they did lose Menex like that, but all these other times where they were kind of wheezing out these kills, getting these sort of turnarounds when Ryan was going down and then bringing people back into the fight. And you can see Witness do overextend themselves. They do get a bit greedy, and that's when they have a good time of punish for ANTICIDE. And that's every time that's worked out for them so far in this map. It just hasn't converted to rounds because they kind of rested a little bit on their opportunities here.
I mean, I have to write it at some certain point. I wasn't asking if you knew, I was asking if they knew, and they visibly do not really know. If you open scoreboard here a little bit, it's quite telling. I mean, you see this first round went to Witness. They're already in such a strong lead. Also, don't be fooled by the HUD. Obviously, it ticked down here, but it's not going to tick down evidently in real time. But if you look at the scoreboard, Ixi and Thomas, as this unpause comes in, and Manix and Pandemic, they're on sort of equal points, or the primate of the points is kept by Ixi alongside with Manix on their respective teams. So the scouts are definitely doing work, which is expected on product. However, now it is ANTICIDE claiming this much needed captain.
Yeah, so we've had a pause there. Can maybe make an educated guess what's going to happen in 90 seconds time, maybe tactical, but oh god, they lose Auto actually over on Witness. This is the kind of scrappy play I was talking about. Just kind of weasel out these random frags, but they can do some weaseling of their own over on Witness. They managed to have one player unchecked, turned 5 heads around, and then the rest of the other 5 heads over on Witness Gaming just came charging from that sort of flank.
Keep me entertained. My game didn't want to comply with me, so I crashed.
Well, basically, Auto died. They didn't see some sort of random flanking player from Witness, and then the rest of Witness just collapsed on top of them. What does it matter if you lose a medic pick, if you take out the entire, I guess, ANTICIDE pick? And anyway, they're going to have another college try at it. The timer's definitely ticked down to overtime at this point, so they have to just go in with no Uber or no nothing. But this is going to favor the defending team heavily here, as I think they've only really got Theos alive, and without an Uber charge is not really much use to the team. And yeah, that's a second round on the board for Witness Gaming, and more than likely this is when our pause happened.
You're vastly over-exaggerating and overestimating my internet connection. Keep on.
Well, anyway, it's fine, because this is the point where a lot of teams would be talking about what the hell is going on. This is our map pick, Team ANTICIDE. We should have this a bit more, you know, under control here. What do we need to change? What are we strong at and what are we good at? So they probably have min-maxed their entire mid going into this third round and potentially final round if Witness keep on showing strong in this product map. So
let's see on the third mid fight if they have what it takes here. Peppy already shooting QG very weak. Well, Demoman not really able to partake in the fight for that much of a time, though. Now it is Lucas walking forward. 3 players fall. Manix was weak, but he is a sniper, and they try to commit themselves onto that enemy team sniper. That might be the switch-up ANTICIDE needed.
Yeah, they've decided to take the medic sniper, but also put Ryan on the scout. It's very popular nowadays to switch off that soldier that's not really feeling too strong on a map like Product, and then just switch them out for your main resident sniper on the team. And medic sniper is no joke here. He can cause quite a ruckus. And it's a different ball game of Product if you've got a strong sniper on your team. They're going to use the Uber aggressively over on Witness. I like this during an Uber charge. Snipers don't really like dealing with the pressure of an Uber fight going out. And yeah, they're just going to commit in, fight like the sniper's not even there. And they are finding some picks random here and there. Ryan with a nice little counter bitch slap against Ixie, who almost backstabbed him. But they will lose out finally, the last remnant players. Blank though, coming in with a nice cleanup kill onto Auto.
Indeed, Blank was in behind and able to pluck Auto out of the sky. They were so preoccupied on the front flank there to deal with players, and you saw that this passive duty of Manix on the field managed for them to gain so much traction there, and Auto had to pop so early, and that initially looked quite well for ANTICIDE, but they were able to be surrounded from that point on. Hugie already shot down a little bit in the damage numbers. Ixie down though. Or rather, Ixie shooting Ryan down. Manix now sniper versus sniper battle, and Theus has a slight advantage, I wanted to say early on, but now it's full out deathmatch fight.
Ixie finds the pick onto Manix now, and that's going to give him a lot of room now to work with as a sniper, and it's going to put a huge amount of pressure onto ANTICIDE to fight under this sniper control, but they're not making the absolute worst of it. They actually do lose out Ryan in the same breath as I mentioned that. Caster's Curse in full force, and oh no, Hugo even gets the pick onto Theos as well. He was completely left out in the open, as he only has a Demoman pocket, and what is a Demoman to do against a Jolting soldier?
Easily poaching that additional medic frag to his accolade collection. However, yeah, I mean, Manix now switches back to Scout, and they have the switch up again in their compartments. We saw how very accomplished Manix was in earlier games, but not able to do it this time around. Also, it is Ixie still in the field, popping some heads, shooting some bodies, and shooting the Gibbs apart. Now it is already Ryan initiating. Hugo has to deal with a 2-1 in his face. Manix, however, is culled by this Ixie headshot, and they chasing out Theus, eviscerate him.
Lucas, very nice jump to kind of cut off the only real sort of class that can take advantage of his speed and catch up to the medic quick enough. At least a medic that's taken a scout taxi out, cuts off his only exit and gets the kill onto him. And they kept Auto alive during all of that as well, so the game is still within their iron clutches.
Very fruitful, the shifting of the win conditions. It is no sniper now on the field. Oh, never mind, it's Ixie still on the field. On the channel area, instantly takes the head of Hugie, throws it right out of the window. So difficult now to trundle toward that point without a demo man on the field, and Ryan also lacking with that flank control. You're losing at 2 or 3 versus 1 since no ancillary pressure is coming out. The forward ground being taken by Lucas Tank Manix, another player you want to separate with the respawn wave. They're doing that quite profoundly.
Yeah, losing a demo man is rough on Product, because you can kind of just leave it up to Lucas to hold the whole right side on his own, and then allows to free up Pappy to start paying visits to this flank. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they started busting the flank open and kind of dominoing a nice little kill effects there. And well, that's 3-0 on the board. That was very, very efficient here from Witness to say this is the ANTICIDE map pick.
Now you spoiled it. I wanted to say, if you don't know or if nobody knows, I have some refreshment for you. Obviously, it is the pick of Witness game. Oh no, well, that's that sucks, my man. If you lose your own map pick, yeah, that's quite rough here. 3-0 as well. I mean, it really was taken away from them so very progressively as this game continued. The first round was quite close, you saw it, and only then Witness Gaming coming out on top of the very first round by decent Uber managements and able to get the grip on this game, get their success formula figured out, and, well, play to that success formula as the game progressed. Some snipers being thrown in the fray. Ultimately, though, Manix was flanked by different sides. Ixi switching to the counter sniper role and being even more accomplished since he had more space. Lucas was playing well together with Otto on his own side of the pocket area and always had the advantage, at least how I saw it, over Hughie, who was perpetually shot weak. No space really for him to walk in, and it was quite muddy, but only for ANTICIDE.
Yeah, there was not many incorrect decisions coming out from Witness from what I could spot in the game. Maybe the only obviously ones are more like, moment-to-moment slip-ups, letting loose on Tomas, letting him like die a couple of times during times he wants to be Ubered. But apart from that, it looks pretty neat and tidied, and they had like a plan for every sort of situation that ANTICIDE had to throw at them. And unfortunately about Product as well, it feels like you don't get many opportunities to actually get back into the game. Well, I could count on maybe one hand it felt like they had opportunities over on ANTICIDE.
Honestly, my take on especially Product or on other maps is that usually, yeah, you do have some room to maneuver, since if you lose one push, okay, you lose like 1 minute or so on one of potential 3 to 5 rounds. But the main issue is if you're not able to adapt on the fly and the enemy team always then takes the forward ground and is so experienced and a high prem team here, evidently, then yeah, they make it suffer and they make you suffer for it. Not only 1 minute then is ticked off, no, it's like 2 minutes, and then they adapt a little bit. You're not able to deal with it. I was also pointing on the upsurge of scouts in terms of points, but that is my segue onto logs here, since what I see is that the first player from ANTICIDE that comes in kill-wise is Ryan on 14 points, and officiating the top fragging positions are Ixi, Hugo, and Peppy. Then afterwards also Thomas. Lucas Tank being down there actually in the kills. I mean,
whoa! Flip the damage, everybody. Keep this man away from the bottom. He should be towering at the top here on the damage stat. And at the end of the day, that's what you want your Doman to do. He's setting the groundwork for Ixi and Hugo and Tomas to actually get these kills in. So I want Lucas in his own little private bubble here. He'd not be touched by these logs.
Indeed, that is also why I didn't want you to interrupt me, since that is what I wanted to say. Demos do get damage. Sometimes demos do get the frags of it to make it look decent, but evidently they are laying the groundwork, and that damage is cleaned up by those ancillary players, and that obviously concludes in that set storyline. Lucas has also the primate of the damage per minute stats, only by 3 damage per minute more over Pandemic here, who is going 9-9, so nice 1.0 KD, evidently nice in inverted commas, since Ixi has more than twice of those points, pointing at pocket scouts. Medics now. Medics Auto 0 drops, Medic Theos 0 drops, sizably more heals by Auto, but you'd expect that. Also the kill disparity is a little bit delayed, bare in front of our eyes. Over 20 kills more for Theos, less so for Theos, more so for Auto and his entourage. But I mean, since you want to have players in their own private bubble, what else do you see?
Well, I don't know. It was a game that went by really quickly. 15 minutes is a quick time when it comes to the grand scheme of things of Product. So there's not too much to chew on. It felt like just a couple of good decisions all around. The only real round I want to talk about in ANTICIDE's favor was that starting round one. It started off strong with like a nice sort of turnaround kind of opportunities, like making Witness play a bit greedier. But I think Witness kind of zeroed in on this a bit more as the game went on, that they were maybe getting a bit too greedy, a bit too aggressive in certain spots, drawing that line a bit too much, and they kind of reined it in a bit more. Whilst ANTICIDE, I felt like these Ubers were just completely betraying them. So I think when if we had a better stat about it, I'd like to see like just kills done during an Uber, but I don't think the logs can really facilitate that, sadly.
I mean, you had so much time during the game, you could have wrote that on your little notepads.
Well, I have a mental note, but I like the digital convenience of logs. But yeah, you're right. I think a lot of the frags that came from during Uber times or post Ubers were mainly just Witness kind of making these ambitious turnarounds and kind of going a bit like for a counter attack, kind of like TF2 on hard mode, really. But it didn't work out. And it had plan B's and C's and D's to kind of deal with this if things went wrong as well. So yeah, I'm trying to find like the silver lining here for anybody, but I got nothing, absolutely nothing for poor ANTICIDE, and I don't even think it's so much ANTICIDE's fault. It's just a different philosophy on what you think these Ubers should be doing.
Well, I mean, not able to be reined in that much, or rein in Witness Gaming rather, but let's see if they can give them the spurs here on Metalworks, as that metal might be working for them so far. They are set in red, and blue is officiated by Witness Gaming players. It is a different beast here, 5CP. Evidently, you can be a little bit more cheeky, sometimes a little bit more loose and easy with your positioning, albeit you have to keep in mind that especially this underpass, connecting it to the second point is quite so, where it is telegraphed if you try to snag in behind, so maybe not that apt and viable for the backcap shenanigans. You can definitely make it work, but it seemed to me, honestly, if they have a little bit better focus fire here than on the deathmatch, on pure deathmatch battles, they're not even lacking that far behind.
I'm very interested to see what these two teams can come up with on the second point. Second point feels like a very interesting point on Metalworks, where everyone has like their different little takes or how they want to approach these fights, and little creative ways to get in and break up a stalemate or a hold on the second point. And I'm expecting maybe Auto to be playing a bit more defensive. While I can see Fios, I don't think ANTICIDE are a huge fan of kind of giving up ground over on the second point. I think they'll hold things a bit more closer, but this, I see this more likely landing in a Hugo getting picks onto Fios, but if they can keep that under control, then I think they'll have a stronger suit on the second points.
In my mind, it's also not that easy to bait out Ubers here per se, as we saw in before, by your mere abode, by your mere combo positioning, as we saw on Product, when Witness Gaming walked forward and they had the hubris and the impetus about them as if they wanted to be involved in an Uber fight, but then they only really forced the enemy team and then backed out and popped so much later indeed. But here you have to commit yourself a little bit more through these chokes or into a suicidal wave, through the underpass, through the alleyway side with the high bombs. So it is a little bit more cookie cutter in that sense, that when you're up on your Uber stakes, you're sitting backwards and you're waiting for you're waiting for bombers, and you're waiting for the enemy team to commit through a choke into you, and then they pop Uber. But now, candid crowd, we are on to Metalworks. I said it before, ANTICIDE is in red, blue is officiated by Thomas, Otto, and Entourage. In other words, Witness Gaming, first mid-fight. Let's take it away.
All right, already Blank, nice and prompt, nice and early. Wants the pressure out. Lucas doesn't quite get too much pressure, just gets a nice arrow like it never happened. And we're playing all our crates very defensive on both sides of the mid-fight of Metalworks. Hugo having a bit more impact, manages to come out of his little hidey hole of lobby and gets spares a couple of kills, or these equalizing kills against the Derriman. That's a much stronger pick for Witness Gaming compared to the Soldier pick. And actually no, then the equalize against, it's a nice bomb follow up by Ryan. Not only gets the Derriman pick, but gets the I think they're going to end up with the medic pick as well. It's a delayed medic pick, so he's going to get a much, well, not quite the latest respawn, but still kind of later than our base guard resident.
Happy meeting here, Blank, with this battle on the Million Bridge, piped or even rocketed down Ryan on a 5k. Is that indeed? Those soldiers, amazing play there on that mid-fight. 6 Semper Tyrannus, they were shouting to the enemy team's demo man since Blank 2 high bombs and was able to even then keep alive. Blank was always making the space, and then afterwards Ryan was fit enough to bomb in. Now this Uber is coming in, since it is a full Uber advantage.
Yeah, a nice quick sort of Uber coming out into 3 or 4 players, immediately getting everybody into the fight. Nice little scout pressure as well, but I'm not finding any kills though over on ANTICIDE. They managed to just stay their own half of the map, and there just wasn't enough point play, I guess, to kind of bring them out of their little safety backlines over on Witness. And yeah, the scouts doing a lot of work there for Witness to get these sort of picks going.
And Theos might even be able to be caught. Never mind, Peppy backs away from it since they are realizing, yeah, double soldier and a scout, forward spawner, pandemic blank, and Ryan in Tau for Theos. It is still an Uber disadvantage, however, so a little bit of a flopped last push here. Well, and ultimately flopped last push. Peppy controlling the forward shed area, and on the truck he is gobbling onto that medium health pack. Lucas Tank shooting the protective stickies forward. That threat of this full Uber charge nets them this midpoint.
They still think they've got enough time though to actually get into the second point with the Uber charge. They throw in blanks, they try to go for the air shot, but Auto pops it finally when he's landing on the ground. They didn't quite clean up blank in time for him to feel confident about landing with that Uber, so they're better safe than sorry. And, I'd say better safe than sorry. Actually, Theos and co are actually coming back into the fight, but they've lost 3 players with this Uber charge, and they're trying to throw medics in. Maybe they can get the pick onto Lucas. They will, so that is a nice little bit of impact, but I don't think it's enough to make a push out of it. I think they're toying with the idea.
ANTICIDE was very fast on their own scouts to reciprocate on this impetus. Very fast, moving on their toes and on their feet. Thomas coming in, cleaning the enemy demo man up, and then afterwards Manix cleaning all the space up. Never mind, this one Manix collecting that frag, but Thomas was able to secure the ground. It is a battle of the underpass currently developing. Auto is trundling and trending toward that alleyway side. Lucas is only really spamming from
Ryan
afar.
needs help. Oh, he was almost got spammed down there. Sorry, it was very... Oh, no, a nice random pipe from Lucas. And they actually keep Theos safe, but he leaves his patient outside for the Wolves to have. And, yeah, they don't really need Theos. Yeah, they actually pushed into last already. They're on top of the point. They're knocking at the door. They're knocking at the point. Uber charge has been used, and they back off here slightly. Over on Witness, hovering over the idea of maybe still pressuring this point. There's no sort of last weaponry to deal with this. No sentry gun, no heavy weapons guard, and nobody blocking the point. It's a first cheeky round on the board for Witness Gaming.
Theos able to be cleaned up at the end, and then there was so much cap time already, you were able to sneak that out. Those ANTICIDE players, the spawners, were coming in. It was a 6 versus 5 situation, but ultimately that cap time was too much to deal with, and too few players still fit and forward enough to block it. That nets a 1-0 to Witness Gaming, being on the back foot from this very first mid-fight on starting, but then a flopped last push, being pushed out consecutively with their own Uber disadvantage on the compartment of ANTICIDE. Lucas already very low on HP.
Menix going very aggressive to start off the mid, challenging Lucas straight from the get-go, and nobody really challenging the side of ANTICIDE. It's only a bit of pipe lobbing from Lucas himself, and they're even going to find a stray Pappy who was waiting on that health pack, but was already taken from somebody at the side of Witness Gaming. And yeah, this is just a game of not really being challenged over on ANTICIDE. I felt like there was only 2 people that were ever being attacked over on ANTICIDE, and that was the 2 aggressive players of Menix and Ryan.
The soldiers once more won that mid-fight for ANTICIDE. Auto was collected in the large and inflated pocket of Orion, as he is trending on those top points early enough, but now is a little bit put down there in terms of scoreboard and raw point potential. Thomas now on the defensive sniper. They're building alongside with the equalizer out of Peppy on the side of Auto, but it's still a 50% Uber disadvantage. They're trundling from their own left side. Seen from their taking point of view, this level 2 sentry gun is not really spotted early enough, but now is able to be turned into scrap and bolts. Hugo is another player to fall down. It's a 6 versus 5 situation. Ryan on only 3 HP, so that might be able to heal the defensive team up enough. Only now the cap is coming in. Menix now is bombed by this. Is bombed by the soldier, and now the Uber is coming out.
Yeah, that sticky trap on point just wasted so much time. There's one soldier on the point. He's actually going to cap it right under the nose of Pappy. They did everything right except for the last bit, which was just have a quick sweep check, a little scan of the area, head count even, but they were missing 1 soul, and that soul won the round for ANTICIDE. Well done, Ryan.
They followed the protocol to almost the perfect extent. I mean, there's always some room for improvement here, but yeah, obviously not checking it all that well, and the soldiers are still coming out on top. Now it's a back cap. Ryan reaches for that primate of the points. If you leave the medics out, since that's a little bit cheating, you get so many points here for healing, but Blank now is trying to control the top area.
Oh
Blank
no, Pappy immediately zeroed in. Nice little shot from Blank to set his team right for that mid fight, and this is a strong showing. Getting the round up, equalizing and winning the next mid puts you on a good stay for your next round.
But isn't it crazy how they're always winning? I think that is the third mid fight now won in a, well, rapid succession here, I should say, since 7.5 minutes rather have flown by. And now the big bomb from Ryan does not find the face of Auto as they are trundling through the underneath area here alongside with Lucas and the Pocket Scout trying to set their eyes straight.
Blank kind of short-sighted there. Throw Ixie straight into him. Didn't expect him to come out of the kind of valley area as quickly as expected, and now they're just bleeding players. That's Blank lost. Now they lost the Demo Man over on second point as well. Surely they could just walk in for absolute free. They're actually deciding to take the Uber fight too, and they want the Ubers out of this exchange, and hopefully that this kind of surprise attack might lead them a kind of solid sort of fighting base. But when losing the flank during your own Uber, that wasn't the plan from ANTICIDE, surely.
I do agree, however, that Hyuji is still in the top, or forward spawn rather, does not find a damage number that is able to open the door so widely for his own players to come back in. Witness Gaming was set into their own endemic environment in that sense that they were able to once more utilize their Uber advantage. ANTICIDE tried to counter that by using aggressively Lucas in onto Theos. Theos is dealt with by Ixie, snucking in. That was a suicidal wave and it worked wonders.
Yeah, he just snuck in from the right and nobody was paying attention to him. They were too busy looking at the foreground here, and that was just obviously Auto. Everyone playing by those heels, kind of pressuring from that front door, and well done to Ixie to kind of not give his position away immediately, and also throwing in a soldier when obviously Ixie timed in a nice little aggressive play. They needed both players there to actually get the life of Theos.
Well, Manix was trying to peek very aggressively forward, but it was ill-advised and misaligned since now the Uber is coming in, was not able to find the shot early enough. Lucas is parading upon that entire spawn area and Hyuji dealt with. They are playing this slow, methodical, yeah, we lose one round to the back cap, but not on our watch here, overwatching that point and making it 2-1 on the confluence of that side or flank push, rather, making full advantage out of their own Uber advantage, and it nets them a 2-1. Yeah,
no heavy, no engineer, no, not even a pyro to kind of like just delay this Uber just to deal with the thing. And then even then, I don't think the soldiers actually took ground, took fights, and like allowed Hyugi, I should say, to keep his life during that fight. So once he went down, this last point was curtains for them. But it's a new round, it's a new dawn, it's a new mid, and they've been doing pretty solid at mid so far. So if they can just kind of tidy up another mid and just kind of get the ball rolling on their second round, maybe this might work out. But uncharacteristically, they actually lost the first frag on this mid fight.
Yeah, it's your fault. You jinxed it. Why do you keep talking like that? I mean, Blank was not able to come in, Ryan. They heard your vibes through the mumble atmosphere here. They've won 3 mid-fights so far, but no, you get jinxed. You don't make it in time. Pandemic loses his life, and again, on the confluence of those soldiers meeting, Ryan wants it to bomb, but into the skybox he goes. Let's see if he can gobble up another medium health pack. Never mind, finds Peppy on the underneath area, and this point is almost gifted to Witness Gaming. Blank is so weak, and it is all onto Hyugi here, trying to stick down his own main area. They were able to repopulate on that high ground and claim the second point once more.
Yeah, well done to Blank for keeping himself alive there. I think if they saw another member of the team go down, I think they would have fully committed to a back out there over on ANTICIDE. But it gave them the confidence to go back into the fight, and clearly Blank must have been ushering his team to come back in. They're weak, and that was what was allowing the tide turning. So well done from Blank there to kind of keep himself alive, get some damage out, and get his team back in.
And let's see, a 2-1 lead, so only leading one in terms of rounds is not terminating their own progress here on the side of Witness Gaming. Still trying to stick forward, not parking the bus at all. It is Lucas walking forward, creating the space here for Puppy to bomb in. Hugo is shooting from the bridge, but Ryan is onto Lucas' tank, and that is a quick frag. 2 versus 3 frags fall down in the disfavor of Witness Gaming.
They're chasing. Pappy has to spread his team awfully thin here, but surely 4 players can take on just one Thomas. And now they're trying to address Pappy instead and manages to buy enough time. And they even get some spamming on the team. Thomas will go down now, finally, to these 4 players. They pop Ubers on both of this. This might go a bit pear-shaped here for ANTICIDE, as they don't have the respawners that Witness do have on this mid. Ixia is back into the fight as well as Hugo. Pappy even follows up on Hugo's damage as well and allows a nice little tide turning and a kind of nail in this coffin for this fight. Menix, though, flexing a little bit over against Lucas. Doesn't quite work out. They're still fighting to say that they've had all these respawners on Witness come back and flock to them. Even their respawners are surely going to be entering the fight there. Menix goes so far forward, doesn't even get the pick onto Lucas during all of that.
Blank is in. Blank is not so easily ensnared. Well, cleans Lucas tank up, but not able to catch out Auto. Hops out like a little bunny rabbit. That was such a long mid-fight. Unfortunately for ANTICIDE, it turns into the favor of Witness Gaming. I will analyze in a second, as this push here will be imminent. They don't have Uber up yet, but there are still 2 players in the back spawning areas, only building their last 5% up, buffing their players up to full fitness. Lucas is a little bit weak at the inception of that fight, but yes, now they are trundling toward that last point.
Alright, 100% overcharged. This should be a pretty easy pickings for Witness to kind of tidy out this round. They've already taken out the sentry gun. They're already clearing the point here, but the soldiers now come out to fight and actually give them something to fight against. Much better than the last defense, and it allows the scouts to actually come out of their spawns and do a bit more. But here's the counter aggression. Nicely dealt with by... Oh no, the scouts are just too much over on Witness. It was a nice dealing with that coordinated boyfriend bomb from Witness Gaming, but it's the cheerleaders, the scouts that were just fighting from the point that was just proving too much for ANTICIDE.
They were bonding again on that boyfriend bomb. However, I mean, that is what you said. I'm just quoting here. Anyway, on that last point, really too much cap time again, losing 2 players early, and on that initial mid-fight that then turned so sour for them. I want to say it was really onto Witness Gaming. It almost turned sour for them as they sort of committed themselves into the enemy team, but were really aided by this sort of 1-second discrepancy in the respawns of Witness Gaming. However, now Witness Gaming are taking the red crate and all over it. They are trending here. And
oh my god.
Air shot, I think, or even the pseudo air shot that was, and the pipe room is a little bit controlled now by ANTICIDE, however, losing the medic.
Yeah, just everybody on Witness occupying the same space there. That was on the back foot a bit. Pappy going back to the health pack, getting pressured. They find Lucas, who was already pressured, back to that area. Everyone just kind of taking the same exit route. And, well, what do you know? A couple of double kills, triple kills happening on all these players, just making it easy for them.
Ruminating on the idea of pushing back in here since 70% Uber advantage. Let's go, team, and they are not jeopardized by any forward sticky traps. It, well, allows them to use early, however, since they have to use early. Lucas is trying to stick down some more faces, but they find 0 frags of it. Try to gain that midpoint control. Still a lot of playtime to play for here. And Blank is in the sky. His own jump was elongated by this air shot that he suffered from the previously mentioned soldier's hands. Yuji is down, Ryan as well, Peppy is collapsed upon, and now it is Blank on the blue crate, but no one is able to leave house anymore. That's only 2 players up for ANTICIDE.
It was a noble try from ANTICIDE. I could see what they were trying to work with here. They had no Uber on Witness Gaming, and they all stacked the point for a little bit, so Blank had a lot of damage kind of paving the way for ANTICIDE's good intentions, and they were even rotating these soldiers quite nicely, taking enough damage, playing and towing the line, but they just couldn't find any damage, or namely kills. And once the first kill kind of ticked on the board for Witness Gaming, it gives you a lot more confidence for them to come back in and play these fights and just go for these simple bombs, just fight back and just jump the first thing you see.
It's crazy how ANTICIDE is not able to really inhibit the cadence, the wonderful success cadence of a Witness Gaming that is only ever increasing. Again, like you feel like you're caught in a deja vu here. Another Uber advantage push to last. That might be the end. That might be the fin de siècle here for the red team, as now the heavy's on the field. However, Manix not on sniper. Manix very accomplished, very lethal on heavy, still below 300 HP now, but he's battling, he is gunning, he is keeping them at bay, but it is Ixi running in.
He's decided to clean. Not only has he killed 2 players, but he's got so much cap time. He even managed to keep himself alive as well, and that's a real shame because I think they had somebody on Ixie on in that lobby area the entire time, but he still manages to come back in much later and provide all that impact.
It is onto one player here that inflicts this very lethal wound to the enemy team, since the Heavy was sort of even out of Manix winning that long game fight, but eventually the Stickies were coming close, 225 damage, then onto Manix, and it was Ixie sneaking in. If a medic doesn't have any healthy player anymore to bolt, then it will ruin your fun if you are already set on your own number disadvantage. And now it is already 2 players going down. The screws are turned in the favor of Witness Gaming. They are only ever getting better. Lucas Tank is plucking Ryan out of the air. Yeah, my man, you've been doing well before, but now it is my domain.
Yeah, I think we're getting a bit tired over on Anticide. I think obviously they're tired of these mids kind of falling apart and now later as the game goes. So they kind of just threw people in and just hope for the best. At least that's what I could only see their intentions could to be on these mids. So they just threw someone in, hope that the skirmish would go their way and then they could kind of snowball things from there. But it makes it kind of simple for Witness Gaming. Just turn up and just shoot at the same target, lol.
I mean, we were glazing them on product, even though they went down 3-0, since we were saying, yeah, not a lot of misplays coming in from Anticide. Now it is definitely the case, though. Peppy tries to bomb in early enough. Ryan is battling against Ixie. Ixie is dealt with. Manix coming in with the Frontier Justice without crits, but still very lethal in his hands. The Uber is fully ticked up on the side of Theos, and honestly, it's 11.5 minutes, still enough time, plenty of time, and the Stickies and the Pipes don't find the face of Theos. It is a multi-Uber on the red squadron, and the blue brigade tries to snag a player in behind, but does ultimately not work.
Wow, Auto actually managed to get out here. That's kind of funny. And the fact they're actually dealing with Thomas, who's kind of backcapping them. Can you call it a backcap when you just go in front of everyone and just challenge them at last? Takes the 2v1, doesn't work out for him, but my god, it probably caused a headache and a panic inside the Anticide Mumble.
Honestly, still though, they have the sobriety and the parity of pushing against no Telmas and no Lucas Tank still on the field. Lucas is only reconnecting now to his players, and on the high ground, evidently they are Ixie on the blue crates battling versus Pandemic. This fight is further on commencing as Blank is shooting a little bit from afar. So very weak.
Yeah, he's being spammed out by all of these, like, I think it was a double soldier spam, some pipes being thrown overhead as well. It's just very nicely coordinated from Witness Gaming. Oh no, the final rocket, just enough damage into Hugi when that's going to also spell an overcharge opportunity for Thomas and company. Yeah, they're taking the scout taxi out, but they're all the way back to the last place you want to see. 2 scouts roaming about.
Theos still has this full Uber in the banks. They have to make work with their respawn wave here. Full Uber to, well, complement their defensive play and stakehold here. Thomas dealt with Hugo as well, dominated by a Pandemic. They're trying to claw this game back together and scrap the last hopes back together of themselves. The Stickies are still presenting a very sticky situation on that little bit of an entrance.
Yeah, the trap from Lucas on the shutter door. I think we're losing our head just a little bit and said in all the chaos. I mean, think back to it, Domato. Did you really need to use an Uber on just one scout on point? You're going to block it, you know, if Uber or not, why do you expend the Uber?
Why should I think if I would have used that Uber? He did, and that is now what they have to deal with here. The cause of their own consequences. It is Pandemic having to battle a glowing Scout, a glowing Hugo, and now it is only Manix against the world alongside with Theos. 90% Uber, but might not even catch up in time since losing so many players. We were saying it, he gets the Uber nice I think, in this nick of action. And Hugi still tries to rein in the enemy team.
No, look at them waiting patiently. No. Give me the kill. I want it. I need it. I've got to have it, says Thomas. And yeah, they're even going to cap the point and they usher Ryan onto the point. It's 5 rounds to 1. This game's over. Blue wins.
It ushers in a new era, maybe that is saying too much, but it definitely ushers in 6 points going into the bank account alongside with the e-cash money in terms of fame for Witness Gaming. They don't need any more fame, but they are definitely going to gobble on these points and decide going out of this matchup with 0 points to their name. And it is quite brutal, honestly. I mean, they have definitely the potential here to at least serve some sort of deathmatch fight in their favor, but Witness Gaming on another level.
Yeah, very impressive. It's nice to see that all their skills transfer over to the control point game mode, not just on that King of the Hill. I was a little bit worried there, David Mito. I'm not going to lie. I saw these two maps and I was like, uh-oh, that's a product here. But, after that first map win against ANTICIDE on their map pick, was there any chance for ANTICIDE to get back into this? Or do you think these players are, they're used to it by now? They can shake off the map loss on map one?
That's a nice iteration of the survivorship bias that you're throwing to me, since we already know how that game worked out. So it's a bit difficult to post in hindsight. Might even say that is some sort of argument of post-factuality, but I'd say that there definitely was a chance for them if you keep in mind, since you wanted for me to remember so many play stances. Do you use on a scout when you're solo there? Yes, if you want to block your last point, but that was really only the reason of them not being able to really do anything out of the fantastic mid fights they had. They won the first three, or I think even the fourth mid fight was the one that you jinxed, but the first three mid fights, they completely fair and square won, but were not able to seal it off even into a last push. They even claimed the second point with this threat of this Uber, but not eventually being able to seal it off. And on mid, yeah, their soldiers definitely did shine through. Ryan with the back cap later on, but you need to have this core foundation. Especially, I felt like there was a little bit of lag going on the side of Hughie and Theos. They did not really know where they should spend their main resources on. And the soldiers were always doing well, but there was never really a clear trajectory going into the enemy team. So that was sort of what felt to me was their downfall. And if they were able to, iron that mistake out, could have definitely been a closer scoreline. But in the end, I would have probably not expected them to win against Witness Gaming even on Metalworks.
I'm kind of curious to know what's going on with these Uber decisions from ANTICIDE. They clearly have a lot of belief that these strong Ubers from pandemic, when there's these weird situations where you would use Ubers, but they're so confident that they could turn it around if they just solo Uber a scout in. And it's just not working out. It's the only thing I really saw translating from that product map and onto this Metalworks was just these solo YOLO Ubers. Didn't really work out, but something must be going right in the scrims for them to have this kind of trust in it. But it sounds like I'm being particularly negative, Nancy, about ANTICIDE, but there are definitely good things to see here. You can see why this team is a playoff contender, why they've got some kind of gas in their ability to actually challenge Witness Gaming, and they are been kind of singled out as the best team in the league so far, and everyone seems to agree. Even Forfence are kind of giving a lot of respect, even though that they beat them on their first week.
Let's, however, put the Chronicler's Duty corrective cursory raking light onto those last logs. I think you probably even saw them on your front screen, but the M-Kids want to have their at least logs shown on the screen, maybe also numbers to be read out loud. But it's Thomas taking the primate of the frags here, 17 in 11. I mainly want to point out Otto, who only has 2 deaths in a 20-minute game, but you'd expect that from a medic of that caliber, especially being protected. Theos on 7 deaths himself, no drops in this game. We saw some wonderful air shots, however, and Otto also has some decently high heals up again. It is the same, by the way, the same kill or a frag rather difference here, 22 frags in terms of total numbers as on product. So there might be some link and some causation. It is not it is correlation, but it is not causation, let's say. Take it like that. But anyway, numbers are boring. What do we like more? Drama. Tobo, do you have anything to fill that itch of us?
I have a feeling you want me to go over to the interview section already, but yeah, I guess we can move away from these logs. I'm not seeing anything too interesting. It was more like a games game rather than a numbers game. So you're right. We'll be heading over to Discord, inviting the players in, and I'm going to ask them some pressing questions. And hopefully not too pressing that they'll never want to be asked questions again, but still some questions. And yeah, so I'll make my way over to Discord. I'll meet you over there, Domato, as well. I'll meet my producer, Samus, there as well. And hopefully we'll have Pappy and maybe someone from ANTICIDE to kind of spill the beans. All right. I've made it. Have you made it to the interview section here, Tomato? I'm guessing not. You're still pressing the buttons. That's okay. Well, in the meantime, though, I can say hello to Tomas, who's kindly given us an opportunity to interview him on the side of Witness Gaming. First off, Tomas, welcome to the channel. Thanks for the interview.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, Thomas. Obviously, I don't have anybody on Anticide here just yet, but we'll see if somebody else turns up in time. In the meantime, though, Thomas, let's talk a little bit about the game tonight, and then we'll go into maybe other board concepts. So,
Nice.
okay, so the game. How did it go for you guys? Were you disappointed with anything? Were you like hoping that everything's just gone completely as expected to plan tonight?
I mean, the score was pretty one-sided, right? I think I'd be pretty delusional if I sat here and said it didn't go well. Game went really well. We were happy with it. Felt like we're getting back up to speed, slowly but surely.
That's good news. That's good news. Now, it must be hard to kind of benchmark all of your progress as a team because you're not just training for the ETF2L season. You're training for obviously the lands coming up, but also the big NA land that you guys are crowdsourcing to kind of get there. And I mean, how does that process happen? Do you guys like draw up a checklist? Do you have like some expectations, or do you go through certain scenarios? How do you train for something like that?
Um, well, Witness as a team, we've been a thing for a while now. So I have my own sort of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. We kind of
Okay.
just play, and then if stuff feels good, like I'm happy. Like I'll watch some of the games back. There's obviously like all these stuff that can be fixed, but at the end of the day, it's not some like thing that's written out and some really strict schedule that we have. It's more just see how things go. Like I'll make some fixes if I think there are some things to fix, and then not if not. It's a bit more
Mm.
free.
Now, obviously, this isn't going to be your first ETF2L season, obviously, but it's also not going to be your first time dealing with these sort of world continental sort of battles. Is there a clear image or sort of idea of where you need to get to compared to, say, the last time you were playing at a LAN? Like, do you feel like you have things a bit easier this time round compared to like when you were playing against Tech at I-69, I believe?
Yeah, I think there should be quite a sizable difference. I mean, we're not some brand new team coming off of some dry spouts with LAN, so I'm a lot more confident. Like we're now a lot more LAN ready, and I have a much more clear, or we have a much more clear way on the way we'd like to play the game. I think we should be a lot more prepared than in the past, but yeah.
Excellent. All right. And Thomas, speak to me about ATF2L and their place in your practice. Obviously, you had that week one stint against Four Fence, didn't quite go to plan. I'm sure everybody would rather win about that. But do you guys on Witness see this more as a positive thing? Is it nice that people are challenging you in this ETF2L season, giving you something to kind of aim against? Or would you actually prefer if you just came in very hot and you were just wiping everybody and giving you that confidence in lands later on?
No, we don't need confidence. I think that's the one thing that I've really enjoyed about my teams as a past is like we don't like cope. We don't like this false idea that we may be good or may be bad. I like we've had to sit down and talk about this a couple of times because I mean everyone hates to lose, me included. I think I hate to lose more than the average person, but it's really good for us to lose. We learn so much more from losing. I would have been pretty upset if we just had some complete free reign to like win like we have done in the past, and then we show up to LAN and maybe things are so much harder, which they definitely will be at America, but Poland I mainly meant. It's really good to lose. There's like the quality of European teams have definitely gone up recently, and we're having some close games. We're even having close scrims, which is I don't want to say unusual, but it's refreshing in a very humbling way.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Now, maybe speak on me from the other side of things. From a player's perspective, is there any team like maybe not be doing too hot in the ETF2R season or something like that now, but you're thinking like, wow, this team really is a contender here. Like they've actually they're much better than people make them out to be. Who's like an unsung hero of ETF2R right now?
Um, I don't really have an answer to that question. I think it's the like the result of having a lot of new players on the roster, is I've not been able to keep tabs on other teams. I sort of only really care about mine, so it's not really something I've been. I think
you never had that one scrim
possibly
day where you're like, my God, AMS's team just slaps it in a new level. What the hell is going on?
yeah, I mean that AMS team is fun, but I wouldn't say that anything unexpected. I think everyone understands that teams like AMS's team have this like super high potential to do well, but also have a really high chance of crumbling. It's kind of, on a knife's edge. I think possibly the French team people might be sleeping on a bit. But I think, to be honest, I think everyone is sort of around where everyone thinks they are, which is quite strange. But
all right, well, I've still got plenty of questions about Witness Gaming anyway. I wanted to ask, obviously, you've got 2 new team members. Well, less so new now. It's more like they're kind of settled in. But Hugo and Lucas, what's it like playing with Lucas again after like a long break? Has he changed since you last played with him? Has Mac infected him with maybe some bad ideas, some good ideas?
no, playing with Lucas it's so different to playing with Domo, but he's so he's so familiar in a really strange way. He's not changed much since we played with him before. But I would say it does feel like he has gotten a lot better. I think playing with other teams has done him a lot of good, just because there's a I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that he's developing as a player a lot more. Like before, he was known as the caveman demo who hits pipes and complains about ping, and now he only complains about ping.
What growth?
No, but he's a lot more team based than he was before. Apart from when he's demanding we play on servers that only he gets good ping. He makes my soldiers play on 50 ping so he can get 5 less. But apart from that, he's getting his head down, doing his homework.
And
It's great to play with him again.
I'm obviously played with Hugo briefly at one of the Insomnia lands, but he's obviously taking up some big shoes. Do you miss Silentes in a way? Is there like something that with Silentes gone, there's just, well, it's gone? Like,
I mean, everyone misses Silentes. Like, if you talk about like hard shoes to fill, like Sil has probably got some of the largest shoes in the scene. But I don't know. I have complete faith in Hugo. I think that he's not only like mechanically good, I think he's keen and smart. So and he's also like, I feel like people forget this. He's not played Roma before. He played Roma at one LAN, I think, on some like fun team that ended up doing all right. But he's completely new to the role, completely new to the team. I don't want to say he's new to like the top level of the game, but there's like an aspect where he has got like no experience in this kind of situation. The thing about Sil is he had, Sil's been around the block. He had so much experience. He was very good like in the comms and like outside when we're talking about how we want to play the game. He had so much knowledge about all of that that obviously Hugo won't have, and just because he's not played that many lands compared to Sil, but I think that he is definitely I mean, he's really who I wanted to get. Like, I'm very happy we chose to go with Hugo. I don't think any player could fill Sil's shoes the way that Hugo is right now.
Well, this is all wonderful. All right. Obviously, Thomas, it's been very intense for you. I've had to ask you question upon question, no little breaks in between. I can't think we can find any anti-side players. So I'll leave you one last little question, and that's just telling me how things in ETF2L compared to LAN. Basically, are you guys putting a lot of stock or kind of opinion on this ETF2L victory, or is it more about just the upcoming Poland land? Because I think there's a bit of crisscross there.
We don't. It's wrong to say that we don't care about ETF2L. Obviously, we care. Obviously, we want to win. But all of our goals are set upon this European LAN and then the American LAN afterwards. So obviously, we're going to try really hard with ETF2L, but it's mainly just because that is where we can practice. That's where we develop.
So if everything went wrong, like, there was a freak accident in playoff and you guys get knocked out in playoffs, but if you win the Poland land, nobody's crying any sort of tears.
No one remembers LAN. No one remembers online seasons. People only care about LAN. This is rule number 1.
All right, that's a good last line to leave the interview. Thank you very much, Thomas, for coming to the interview for your Week 4 game. Obviously, congratulations on your Week 4 victory.
Thank you.
Commiserations as well to ANTICIDE. They did not play a bad game. They, they turned up a little bit. They had their little bits of victories and all this stuff. And it's a tough team to play against, Witness Gaming. Anyway, obviously, Domato, have you got any questions that you maybe want to throw at Thomas before we close up the interview here?
I mean, you gave me the opportunity, yes, to log in from my mobile phone. I hope it is bearing. However, I have the faintest notion that you already covered it exhaustively. Just one quick note, as always, so I'm not here only for Bill to see. Thomas, my question to you about this concrete game is mainly, we saw on Metalworks that in the first 3 mid-fights that those enemy soldiers really reined you in, and was it how you hinted at, that you were mostly going with the flow, or were there very concrete sort of adaptations that you made, like looking at your own team's compartment, or was it just, yeah, okay, we try to see what works? Like those 2 soldiers were really what was the hassle to you early on?
So I think that there are a couple things wrong with our early mids, but the problem wasn't in the idea of the mid, it was more in the execution. It's going to sound a bit like cope, but there was some bad variance going on in some of those mids, and then we were missing some timings that we possibly shouldn't have. It wasn't some crazy adjustments we made. It was more, all right, everyone, remember what we do kind of thing.
Thanks to that, you also made it very clear that you're not a fan of coping, and they take that out of your hands. Also, just quick cursory glance in saying it's always easy, or well, it's a chill thing to say that you don't mind losing, especially if you come out of a game winning. No, but anyway, that was it already from me, Turbo. I think you covered it exhaustively.
Magical. And I think a big thank you I could give to Thomas is by plugging his team's crowdfunding. He obviously, yes, I'm kind to my interviewees, and Thomas and company, they need to go to land, but they need your help. And they're not here resting on their laurels. They are actually giving up some nice little perks and little bits and bobs as well. There's more details about it over on their Indiegogo. You can find all the details on any of their social media platforms. You can find it as well on Team Fortress TV. They've got a thread going, and it goes into very specific detail what these guys are willing to do for just a little bit of pocket change just to kind of get them to land. But don't worry, it's going to be open for a while, and they're going to showcase more ETF2L and LAN action to kind of prove that, they have a reason to turn up to America and hopefully make a couple Americans cry. Hopefully I've put it quite nicely, Thomas, unless you want to add any extra notes there.
No, I think you've done it justice.
Magical. All right, and well, a nice little shout out as well to my casters and crew here. Big shout out to Samas doing the production. Domato, has been a pleasure as always, and big shout out to myself. A little pat on the back. I think I enjoyed myself this evening. And also a big shout out to you guys for watching at home, who are going to go over to the crowdsourcing thing, I'm sure, right now and just give all of your money. But we'll see. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Essentials channel in future. Also, tune into our social media as well. We've been doing things on TikTok. All right, see you.